a town of shadows. When you hear Fukushima, you think of 2011 earthquake, tsunami, nuclear meltdown, a disaster that etched the name into the world's fears. But this story isn't about that. This story is about 1989, February 28th, Tamura Village, Fukushima Prefecture, a small elementary school, dusk, p.m. The air bit like shards of ice. February in Fukushima is still winter, brutal and unforgiving. The sky had already turned black, pressing down on the quiet village. A 23-year-old female teacher walked out of the school. She'd finished her day. Her dorm was close, just a short walk away. She didn't hurry, not yet. She reached the dorm, unlocked her door. Warmth hit her, then faded. She needed the bathroom. Her room had its own toilet, private, just for her. But this wasn't a modern bathroom. Back then, rural Japan had no connected sewage lines. Each toilet fed into a U-bend sewage tank buried underground. Waste pooled there. One end of the U led to the squat toilet inside, the other to outdoor sewage outlet, capped tight. Every few weeks, a truck would come, unscrew the cap, and pump out the filth. She finished, flushed. Then something made her look down, into the dark, narrow mouth of the toilet. A flicker of white, something familiar, a shoe. Dread coiled around her chest. She couldn't be sure, not in the dim bathroom light. She grabbed her coat, ran outside, found the sewage outlet, fumbled with the emergency cap, twisted, pulled. The stench hit first rot, urine, decay. She gagged, then she looked. Her scream split the quiet night. Inside the outlet, a human leg. Panic. Police. A grisly discovery. She ran for help, her colleagues, the principal. Soon, a small group huddled around the outlet. Men, trying to be brave, leaned in. "It's a leg," one whispered. "No shoe." They called the police. Cops arrived, flashlights cutting through the dark. One knelt down, arm outstretched. The stench made his eyes water. He grabbed the leg, pulled. Nothing. The body was stuck wedged tight in the U-bend. Firefighters came next. There was only one way. They brought an excavator. Dirt flew. The cold ground trembled. Finally, the entire U-bend pipe was pulled from the earth, heavy, slimy, reeking. They took it apart with a cutter. Metal screeched. Inside, they found him. Dead. A man. Curled into the pipe, arms bent, legs folded, face up. His lower body still had pants on. His upper body was bare. In his arms, a neatly folded shirt. His face was inches from the toilet's inner opening, like he'd been watching the victim, a life cut short. The body was soaked in filth. They washed him twice before anyone could recognize him. Naoki Kitano, 26. Everyone in Tamura knew him. A bright, promising man. Sales manager at a company that maintained the Fukushima nuclear plant. He played baseball, strummed guitar, wrote poetry, spoke well, so well, he'd MC village events. No one believed he'd peek into a woman's toilet. The autopsy came next. Time of death, February 26, 2 days before he was found. Injuries, minor scrapes on his elbows and knees. Nothing else. Cause of death, cardiopulmonary failure. From chest compression and hypothermia, he'd frozen to death. Slow, painful. The police verdict. Case closed. The police investigated. They found no signs of foul play, no forced entry, no struggle. Their conclusion? Accidental death. He'd crawled into the pipe to peek at the teacher, gotten stuck and frozen. The village erupted. Kitano's father refused to accept it. "My son would never do that," he said, voice breaking. The villagers agreed. They knew Kitano kind, respectful, ambitious. Peeking into a toilet? It didn't fit. But they didn't just argue. They acted. A month later, they had 4,300 signatures. More than the entire population of Tamura Village, just 3,800. They begged the police to reopen the case. The police said no. No evidence of murder, they said. Case closed. The plot holes. Too many to ignore. The villagers weren't wrong. The accident story fell apart the second you looked closer. 1. How did he get in? The U-bend was a death trap. The outdoor outlet, the only possible entry point, was 36 centimeters wide. The indoor end where the toilet sat was narrower, 20 centimeters. Kitano was 170 centimeters tall. According to Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, the average shoulder width for a Japanese man aged 25 minus 29 is 40.4 centimeters. The pipe was 36 centimeters wide. Physically impossible. Kitano's father even reconstructed the pipe. Tried to crawl through with clothes. Without. He couldn't. Not even close. Why would Kitano try? He'd have known he'd get stuck. He'd have known the pipe was freezing on February 26th. There was still 20 centimeters of snow on the ground. And why was he bare-chested, with a folded shirt in his arms? That wasn't a man sneaking to peek. That was a man who'd been stripped carefully. 2. The missing shoe. The teacher saw one shoe in the toilet. Cops found it near Kitano's head. Where was the other? They searched for days. Finally, they found it on a riverbed, miles from the dorm. Why? How? A shoe doesn't just wander that far. 3. The teacher's alibi. Kitano knew the teacher. Well, he was even friends with her boyfriend. He also knew her schedule. The teacher had taken time off February 24th to 27th. She'd gone home for the National Day of Mourning. Emperor Showa had died, and his funeral was on the 24th. She wasn't at the dorm. Kitano disappeared on February 24th. His father last saw him at a.m. that day. "I'm going out to do something," he said. Then he was gone. He died on the 26th. Why would he crawl into a pipe on the 24th knowing the teacher wouldn't be back until the 28th? To peek at an empty toilet? It made no sense. 4. The car. Cops found Kitano's car in the dorm parking lot. Keys still in the ignition. Doors unlocked. That wasn't a man planning to hide in a pipe. That was a man planning to be right back. How did she see the shoe? The toilet was dark. The pipe was deep. And why did she go outside alone to open the sewage cap? Most people would have run for help first. Was she involved? The police checked. No motive. No evidence. The theory faded. The darker theories. Murder in the snow. If it wasn't an accident, what was it? The villagers had ideas. Sinister ones. The nuclear plant connection. A month before Kitano died, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant had an accident. The number 3 reactor's recirculation pump failed. Welds broke. Metal shards leaked. The reactor shut down. A few weeks later, the plant's supervisor, Kitano's colleague, committed suicide. Did Kitano know something? About the accident? About the suicide? He village election 10 days before Kitano's death. Tamura held a heated mayoral election. Kitano was a gifted speaker. One candidate hired him to give speeches, to rally votes. But the election wasn't just about politics. It was about the nuclear plant. Half the village supported it. Jobs, money, economic growth. The other half hated it. Fear of radiation, fear for their kids. The mayor would tip the scale. He could decide the plant's future. Did Kitano find election fraud? Bribes? Threats? Did he get too close to a secret? It fit. The timing. The motive. A man silenced for knowing too much. A secret buried in filth. 30 years have passed. The pipe is gone. The dorm is still there, quiet, haunted. The police never reopened the case. No new evidence. No witnesses. No confessions. But the villagers still talk. They sit in cafes, in living rooms, and they say, "I wasn't an accident. It was a murder. Clean, cold, orchestrated." But how? How did someone get Kitano into that pipe without leaving a mark? Without breaking his bones? Without a single trace? No one knows. Naoki Kitano's body was buried. His name faded from headlines. But his story lingers, like the stench of that pipe. Like the cold of that February night. The truth? It's still in the ground. Only the dead know.